Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the Engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay? Every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Arts Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.
Hey, this is Tyler.
And this is KC.
And you're listening to
The Element Podcast.
What's happening, all my woods people? Today, KC and I are really wishing we were taking naps. Separately, but we wish we were taking naps.
That's why it's naps plural. If it was a nap,
right.
It'd be together.
It's not a nap, it's naps.
That's right.
Yeah. So, we're tired. So I'll just be honest with you right now. This is the hardest thing we've done all day. Being fun on a podcast.
I don't know, dude. I was sitting in the back seat with our friend Brian's kiddo, and he's a real sweet kid, but he was tooting, and it was so bad.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Brian's going to be laughing about that.
Yeah.
I didn't smell nothing, man.
Yeah, I know.
Sure it wasn't you.
I'm sure.
It's like one of them things where you just, you're like, hey, kid. Let everybody know it wasn't me, even though it was.
Yeah. That's funny, man. But we've been out doing some hog prep.
Yeah. Hip.
Yeah. Hip, as they'd say, which is probably not good. It's not. Yep. See? Hip. See?
Yep.
So.
I don't know where else this podcast right now. Like, I don't know what else to say on this podcast. I'm done.
Well, guys, if you have been watching, we actually released a really cool video about some pig hunting this week.
It's cool to you. I don't know how cool it was to other people. But
that's all I care, really.
We've had some people say it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've heard from folks.
Yeah.
So, anyways, go watch that if you haven't.
Actually, our friends over at Moultrie mentioned that they thought it was really cool. He was real hype. Yeah. And they've got some cool hog content coming out, so you should definitely follow them on Instagram. And the Moultrie cell cams that we've been using have been a big part of us being able to figure out when them hogs are around so that we can go to stalking them, which is the hardest part, but also the funnest part.
Yeah, and if you see us on their Instagram, be sure and tell them how much you appreciate them having the Element guys do stuff for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, you're looking at the Moultrie mobile app.
And
it is full of whitetail deer.
How
excited does that make you, Casey?
Not very.
This is the first time you've ever not been excited about getting a deer on camera.
Probably. I can remember days on Texas Public whenever I'd check a camera, like, oh, cool, does. You know, like, you remember that feeling?
Yeah, I was like, oh, dude, we might see some does tonight. That'd be awesome.
That'd be cool, man. It'd be good to see some deer.
Are you going to hunt Texas Public this year?
Yes. Yeah, I am.
You do think so?
Mm-hmm. Quite a bit.
I know you've been down on it.
I don't know if I'm going to hunt the property that you're thinking about, but
okay.
I'm going to hunt all over the state on Texas Public. Yeah. Yep, going to burn all my points everywhere. That's my plan. Yeah. Matador, probably. I'm going to hunt all the hunts in Matador.
Quail? They shot like 13 quail out there this year.
Did they?
Yeah.
Gosh, that's probably like 2 more than last year, huh?
Yeah, that's probably
pretty good.
like 0.17 per hunter or something like that.
It's not bad, man.
Man, I don't know. There's some experience things to be said about quail hunting, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I go for small game, I'm trying to shoot a bunch of them.
I want to eat.
Yeah. That's a big part of the small game thing for me. Like, it's fun to go out and do stuff, but like, if I want to go walk in the woods, I don't need to be traveling out to Elephant Mountain or something like that.
Well, it's a pretty primal thing inside you to say, all right, risk versus reward. I'm going to go deer hunting, and if I don't kill a deer but once every 10 times, it's pretty good payoff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go quail hunting. If I don't kill a quail but once every 10 times, that's a tiny payoff.
Yeah.
Tiny.
Especially when gas is as high as it is.
Yeah. Tell you what.
Did y'all know that? Did y'all know gas is high?
Quail. You're going to be running everywhere with your head forward. Just like,
I feel like bobwhite's run with their belly forward.
Do they?
Yeah, the blues run with their head forward.
I would like to shoot some of those Gamble's quail.
Yeah.
Isn't that what they're called?
There's some Gambrels.
What are those ones that are in New Mexico that we saw?
There's Gambles and there is
Mearns.
Mearns, yeah.
Mearns, that's the ones I want to shoot.
Yeah.
I'm all about shooting something new. You know what
Gambles is known as a California quail. Is that right?
The same thing, or are they two different deals?
I think it's the same.
There's two different, like, lobed quail.
Is Mearns one of them?
I don't know. I thought they were the ones that look like clowns.
They look kind of like a bobwhite, but different.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm the same way, though. You know, with the quail, like, come on now, I'd like to shoot some.
Yeah, I think that's why one of the reasons I don't duck hunt that much, because I've shot pretty much all the ducks that you can shoot around here. So it's like, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
If I knew where there's a pond with some cinnamon teal on them, I might be trying to get off over there. You know?
Yeah. So my wife's family that hunts a lot, they shot. They had a pond down there in South Texas that had a bunch of cinnamon teal on it.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, dude. And they just got I think they got them all mounted. I mean, there's cinnamon teal laying all over the floor in their house.
You heard the Partridge family? This is a cinnamon teal family.
They're cool, man.
Yeah, it's pretty. I was at the zoo the other day, and there was some other type of weird teal at the zoo that looked like
probably like a Argentinian or whatever.
I don't know. It was looked like a cinnamon, but with just a big black body part to it or something. And I was like, man, is this real or is this like a, you know how like a Peking duck or something is? You know what I mean? Or
yeah.
It's like, is this just like a white turkey? Mm-hmm. You know, is this like really a species or is this just a thing?
Are you saying all these white turkeys that get posted online are not actual albino?
I don't know,
phase
man.
Turkeys?
It seems as if that's become a popular thing to see in the woods. It's a white turkey.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Where
I'm not
else
saying
have you seen white turkeys?
Canton Trades Days, and at Pilgrim Farms over there in Mount Pleasant, lots of white turkeys. Tyson too, for sure. That's up in Broken Bow, so maybe that's where we should go.
Yeah,
try to kill white turkeys.
I think we should.
Yeah,
I'm all about shooting a 36-pound white turkey.
Did I tell you the turkey story the other day that I heard from the guy at church? He said that his buddy raised 2 eating turkeys, which probably were white turkeys, I imagine. Yeah. He said you're supposed to take them into the butcher between like 8 and 10 weeks, and he said he went like a little long on it. I don't know how long. But he said the turkeys dressed over 50 pounds each.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
How old were they?
I don't know, but I'm guessing 12 or 13 weeks.
In 12 weeks, they grow to 50 pounds.
So more. This is one of those deals where it's heard it from a guy who heard it from a guy.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm assuming the guy at church wasn't lying to me from his information.
Yeah.
So at least there's only one chain of events right there for it to be wrong.
Dang, man, that's cool.
I know. I'm thinking like we could either drive to Tennessee, bring home 50 pounds of turkey total, or we can raise 2 of them and have 100 pounds. He said that when he got them back from the butcher, he had 1 of those white igloo ice chests, and he couldn't close the lid on it.
Oh, my goodness. How did he get them suckers there?
I don't know, dude.
Golly, man. I feel like you'd have to have a hog pen.
Double axle trailer. I don't know. Would I be into that, dude? Can you imagine if wild turkeys were that big?
Yeah. I told my wife, I don't know if I should say this actually, but she's going to get some chickens.
She ain't listening.
No, it's not her that I don't want to listen.
Okay.
She's going to get some chickens here soon.
She's been telling me about that. Yeah.
So there might be some other birds that end up on the property too. But we'll just have to see. I don't know if they sell them where we're going. But I wouldn't mind. I don't mind hunting some domesticated stuff sometimes.
You know, whatever. How long can it stay out there before it becomes feral?
I don't know. I mean, if I feed it every day, is it feral or wild? Or feral or domesticated?
You feed the deer every day.
Yeah.
Here's what gets weird. How many of them people that are claiming organic fed this, that, and the other are feeding things corn that is not organic? Lots. There's like a tree of like it has to be 3 times removed or something to be truly organic or something
really?
like that. Yeah.
I don't know much about that. You've been studying PUFAs and stuff.
Right. That's right, man. So supposedly pork, pen raised pork doesn't qualify as seed oil free because of how bad pork diets are.
That makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. So that bacon got seed oil up in it?
Yeah. That's right.
I love seed oils.
I know, dude.
So tasty.
Mm-hmm. But we've been shooting some wild porkers here lately, right?
Yeah, not organic, but I hashtagged organic.
I bet you that those are pretty tasty. We've been seeing some round pigs. Mm-hmm. The other day, we've been at this for a while, right? And this, we got a couple properties that we have permission to go hunt on. We've hunted our own properties. But there's this one south of where we live that we got permission on. It's pretty cool. It's a neat place. It's got a lake on it and stuff, and a lot of timber. And we've been putting out corn, trying to kill pigs out there. And they've proved to be a little bit difficult because we've only actually shot pigs once, right? After all the stalks and doing different things and this and that and the other.
Basically had 2 failed stalks in the month of March and 1 successful one. And then we also went out in late February with all the guys and golf carted around and didn't really have any encounters.
Yeah, that was kind of goofy. Tyler, pigs are stupid. Why can't you kill them easier?
Well, it depends on who you're talking to and how stupid they are, I guess.
I'm being the general public here when I say that.
They are not stupid. They're actually really smart, smarter than deer. But people may not give them credit for being that because deer have this whole the big buck, he's gonna see you one time and he's never gonna be here again. But the pig is more apt to do that, I feel like, than a big old buck. Mm-hmm. We've had some issues. I mean, there's been a big boar that you and I have tried to get on several times, and he will go dark for a while if we mess him up. Mm-hmm. And currently, I don't think we have any daytime of him anymore. We haven't shot at him or nothing. We've just been walking down the road pretty much, and he saw us.
Yeah, man. It's weird how there's this kind of back and forth thing of one pig is less eyes and ears, but at the same time, one pig, if you booger that one pig, it's like they're boogered.
Yeah.
Whereas if you booger a group, there's just one pig in there, and they're they have so much group mentality that sometimes their opinions get overridden.
Yep.
I think,
I do
and all the pigs end up coming back to the corn, even though that one pig's being weird.
Yeah. I wonder if there's also this concept, like we said, if we're talking about how smart pigs are, that a big old boar is okay, I got to take care of myself. It's kind of with the buck, the big old buck, he has to kind of rely on himself to take care of himself. But you spook a doe, and she's going to flag and stand around so everybody can see that there's something going on, and she's going to let everybody know before she runs off that there's something bad. It's kind of with the big pig, the same deal. It's he's probably real spooky. And in a group mentality, they start getting in there and eating corn, and it's just
so much noise.
Yeah, they're just, they're in hog heaven.
The night that you and I were there together trying to get a double shot, and we ended up not getting any shots, there was this just pig Tyler just smoked his laptop with a water bottle. There's this
spring water though.
Yeah, yummy. There's this pig festival going on of like mamas and babies, and then just female sows, and then boars that are fighting each other and chasing sows around. It's like a whole like, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like pig interaction thing going on.
My words is probably not a good one.
It's just like, it's like a microcosm of like everything that happens in a pig's world is going on right there. Mm-hmm. Some rutting around.
Yeah, some rutting around.
That's right.
Pig rutting around.
And it's pretty cool to watch because those boars would like kind of go out and flank the sows and bring them back in, you know. And
yeah.
And then I think a couple of times we got picked off by one of those boars, and they just like didn't care.
Yeah.
You know,
the old white leg, that one white leg pig got us for sure. And then he was like, whatever, I smell this sow in front of me.
That's right. Pigs are kind of, so you just are working with a different set of like strengths when it comes to a hog. They can smell really good, or they use their noses really well. Let me say it that way in case some of y'all are making jokes. So a hog's sense of smell is really, really good. Mm-hmm. Their sense of hearing is probably on par with a deer's. Their sense of sight is probably nowhere near a deer or a human. Mm-hmm. It's still existent. Mm-hmm. It's not non-existent, right? Yeah. So, like, if you're wearing earth tones and you're being still on a windy day, you can about near walk up to them within reason, right? You can't get much closer than 40 yards, you know, out in the open. But so that's kind of how we play our stalks. Use the terrain, use the vegetation around and stuff to kind of try to get close or whatever.
Yeah, but, that's the kind of the key is like because they can't see real well. If you can just break up your outline, you usually can get pretty close. But if you're gonna be down a road or something, we got picked off several times in roads, man.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, especially if that sand is white and your legs be moving on that. Yeah.
We got picked off the day that we killed right next to a cedar tree, but we were trying to get out from the cedar tree to get footage and also to try the double shot thing, and we got picked off there, and they spooked like 3 different times.
I tell you what, it doesn't matter if it's a gecko that you're trying to catch outside for your kids or a big mature whitetail buck. There's 2 things that will give you away as a human. That is a head sticking up above shoulders, and that is being bipedal.
Yeah,
you know, 2 legs moving. That's right away. Things are like,
Yeah,
I ain't doing that, and they're gone.
It's because they see Sasquatch so often.
That's it.
Yep, and he eats most of those animals.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they see him or not though. He might just get him.
Yeah,
he's pretty effective.
If they're ever in front of a trail camera, then they don't see him because he's never on trail camera.
That's why they hang out in front of our camera so much.
That's exactly right.
They know the Sasquatch can't go there.
That's exactly right, man. It's a dead zone for Sasquatches. Right. It's kind of like, you know, like in a residential area, you know, the deer know exactly where the humans should be. So
that's right, man.
Same deal with the Sasquatch, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, the video was really cool. If you got to watch it and you liked it, thank you. Thank you for watching it. Hope that you did like it. I've really been trying, K.C. and I both have really been focusing on like what, this is stuff you may or may not care about, but it was like how can we produce the content better that you like better? You know what I mean? It's like how like the people that are listening to this podcast that watch our YouTube would like to watch better. Like how can we make it better for you guys, the experience of what we do on YouTube? So we've really been working at that really hard. I've worked really hard on this video. We hadn't released anything for almost a month. It was like a few days from being a month, which was nice in a way because it was nice for me not to just be like every day just having to crank away at it. Took a little time and hung out on spring break with my fam and stuff, and that was nice. And you know, just kind of like went at my own pace on this thing, and eventually it was like, okay, it's time. We got to get this thing cranked out. So. But I mean, in that same sense, like we were able to do something that hopefully kept your interest and gave you a lot to watch. And it took a lot of effort to put together all that video when you talk about like not just the editing process, but actually producing the video and walking around and feeding and stuff like that.
Well, that's one of the things we talked about is some of the previous videos we've made. It's like an event that we record and then we produce it. And it's quick. When you start stringing together days that happen over a couple weeks' time, it gets pretty tough to lay it all out on a timeline. But
it is fun.
It's fun, and we're going to continue to do that because we actually had a big, long conversation this week about what we should be doing right now.
What we should be eating, which includes back straps from pigs.
We decided that we're just going to stick around and do what we already do and not try to be Mr. Roadmasters and trying to go here, there, and everywhere. We are going to go do some turkey hunting next month, but that's later. For right now, we're going to try to catch some fish and try to shoot some piggies. The day that we did shoot, Tyler and I are both shooting. Just recently, I started trying them. Not sure if I'm going to stick with this route or not, but Vector is actually launching. I believe you're going to be able to buy them soon. They're on the website already, actually. They have what's called a ZMR, which is a little bit lighter arrow. Not lightweight, but lighter than those HMRs, the hammers. The ZMR, they can make them pretty light. I'm shooting at like 480 grains with 125 grain broadhead, so pretty sweet.
Very sweet.
Yeah, and that honestly, it's a little light for me, but I wanted to try them out because they wanted me to shoot them and mess with them a little bit, so I did. And I did get a complete pass through on that pig. Also, was something that nobody has talked much about, but I'm just going to say it because I am that guy. They have been prototyping some new broadheads as well. So, actually, they're on the website right now.
The Vector broadhead system coming soon.
I was one of the first people to shoot an animal with the Vector broadhead, which I have prototypes, of course, and they're pretty cool. They've been trying to mess with their heat treating system a little bit, and I think these were to a level of hardness that made a little bit of a brittle, especially on the bleeders, but they've since kind of, since we did some R&D and stuff, going to drop that down just a little bit, and it's going to be pretty sweet. They're going to be, kind of one of those premium type broadheads with a concave blade style, which kind of, it's pretty neat. It actually kind of works to direct flesh towards the blade as opposed to pushing it out of the way. So, pretty neat idea, pretty good innovation coming from those guys over there at Vector. So go to their website and check out some of that new stuff. The ZMR called the Flat Shooter.
Old Flat Shooter.
Yeah, by now. Don't get those little fletchings. Whatever you do, don't get the tinies. Get the bigger fletchings, okay? Because the tinies are for target shooting only with field points. Don't do that. They might tell you otherwise. I'm going to tell you as a guy who hunts a lot, don't shoot the little B fletchings.
That's right.
But anyways, so that's what's going on in the hog hunting world.
Flu-foos, man.
Yeah. Is that what you're going to use this year?
Yeah, I think so. For my quail, my one quail.
Your quail you're going to shoot with your bow?
Yeah. So, I thought since everybody was doing shed hunting stuff lately that you should definitely give some tips for how to find sheds in the
You're
South.
the only guy that's found a shed this year on Team Element. How did you find that shed?
Oh, I found it next to corn.
We walked to a corn pile and there was a shed.
I don't mean a cornfield. Corn
right.
pile. Yeah, we piled some corn up, put a camera on it to try to get some hogs in there. And don't worry, there's not hogs. There's just a million deer eating in there. And I found a shed right there. So, yeah, you were saying that basically if you could walk feeder pins and then just make circles that go out to about 150 yards, and if you don't see anything, then you go get Mexican food.
That's what I think is the best tactic.
For finding sheds.
In the past, you and I have spent a lot of time actively shed hunting in East Texas. And I think we found one. It's a pretty good one. That one you found over there at Babylon, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
But otherwise,
we found a few.
It's tough, man.
I mean, we found some. They've all been tiny, but we found a few along the way. And, you know, a lot of the sheds we find are just walking around hunting or scouting or whatever.
I find more sheds in the fall than I do in the spring.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely.
For sure. Especially now that you don't spend any time in the deer woods in the spring.
That's right. What's the use, right?
Yeah. But, I mean, like, in all seriousness, if you are shed hunting, I would throw out, I guess I have one tip that I've been thinking about. I've been seeing a lot of elms that are budding right now. What you can do is sometimes you can find sheds around those cedar elm thickets. We've seen it before. I think you found a match set in like a cedar elm thicket one time, but a long time ago. But they'll go to eating those buds on cedar elm trees.
Hey, bud.
If you could find ash trees that were budding out heavy.
Big ash trees or small ash trees?
Small ones, because big ones are not going to be in the reach of deer. But even small ones don't have a ton of buds. But I really just like that stuff that's just now budding out. It's going to be good. But most of you guys. Oh, another thing is around corn.
But, we're serious. If you live in a state where you can bait, put some corn out. Get the deer coming to where you're at. And it's actually almost too late for that. There's just a few deer still holding, not a lot.
Yeah.
We saw a big buck holding.
We did see a big one holding still. So, there's still time, but I would say, that's kind of anything that like produced green grass pretty early on. It's been pretty cold this year, so things are kind of set back a little bit. But overall, like, it's just tough in the South. It's really, I think that's why people in the South like to turkey hunt so much a lot of times, is because they don't really get a shed season, so they're itching. I
have a tip, and this, I know I'm being tongue-in-cheek with some of these things, but I truly do mean it. Like, one of my best tips for shed hunting is don't do it on public land in Texas or anywhere in the South, and if you do, don't give up good opportunities to do other things to go shed hunting. Don't burn a day to go shed hunting. Like, it's a good way to just feel unaccomplished. If you go out there with the intent to scout and figure out a new place to hunt and look on the ground while you're there, it's great.
It's good too.
But if the crop you're biting, or you can take your family to the zoo because it's a nice day, do that and build a little bit of rapport, a.k.a. brownie points or whatever it may be. Because, I mean, honestly, guys, like, we got to stop promoting things, and I don't mean to soapbox, but we got to stop promoting things that people get fired up about going to do, and then it's terrible, and then they stop wanting to be in the outdoors because it's always terrible, right? So it's like, if you were trying to promote, like, I don't know, say, I don't know, maybe a deer, having to shoot a deer of a certain antler width, if you're trying to promote that all the time, people had a hard time doing that, they may or may not stop trying to go shoot deer at all because they have a hard time finding one of said antler width. I mean, that's just a hypothetical scenario.
What they also might do is shoot 4 of them right next to your property instead of shooting like a couple of baskets or something like that, so that pretty much wiping out the 3, 4, and 5-year-old age. No, I think I like kind of what you're saying there though. Like, there's definitely like ways to promote things that are can be more fun within a certain activity. You know what I mean? So we should definitely think about that. Like, the shed hunting is cool when you have good property to shed hunt, but if you don't have a bunch of bucks around, I mean, dadgummit, dude, you're kind of just walking in the woods. And like you said, I would rather be scouting. You know what I mean? Like, we find a lot of sheds when we scout. So, it happens. But what you're ending up doing is helping yourself next October. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. I mean, this time of year is still great for scouting for deer. I mean, I saw scrapes today. I saw rubs today. And all that stuff, I guess you could say that the whole rut data is still on the ground, right? So instead of scouting in December, where, 3/4 of the rut has already happened, you can wait until now. Every rut activity out there is over, and you got a pretty good idea what all's going on, And I don't know, you might learn something a little different. So, make sure you're using your time wisely.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess since we have done so much spotting and stalking on these pigs.
Not just that, we did a lot of spotting and stalking in deer season too.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. We did. We had a spotty and stalky year. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things we've learned, some of the ideas that we have, some of the thoughts we have after we've done some of this, and what works, what doesn't work, what may work depending on your style or whatever, some of that kind of stuff. And so,
do you want to do this just pigs? You want to do it overarching, or you want to talk about whitetail stuff?
It could be both. I mean, just whatever you kind of feel like, whatever's in your heart, as they say.
It's a good place. Just follow your heart.
Yeah.
When you wish upon a star, practice paganism in movies.
Oh, man. Well, so you have anything that's in your heart or not?
Oh, I can talk about this for sure.
I mean, I can go if you don't.
No.
I just didn't want your heart to pour out how much you hate Disney movies.
I like Disney sometimes. We watch a lot of Disney in my house, but it's usually, Star Wars. Which is
Winnie
now
the Pooh Disney?
Winnie the Pooh is now Disney, actually. How weird is that? Yeah, I think it may have always been, but just not in that Mickey. Mickey's my least favorite for sure.
Why? I got an idea why.
It's just lame, dude. I don't know. Mickey Mouse is just kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
I like Donald Duck.
I feel like Mickey's a lot like Caillou to me.
Yeah. Although, like, Mickey and Donald both have their girlfriends always, so it's kind of weird. But
never get married, do they?
They do not. So how weird is that? Also, Donald Duck doesn't wear pants, but when he gets out of the shower, he wraps a towel around his waist. So what is that about, right? So, anyway, spot and stalk. I would say that for pigs lately, that's been one of the things that has been pretty important to us. When you're doing it with two guys, spotting and stalking, that is. Tyler, don't look at me like that.
I didn't look at you.
She did.
I did not look at you. I kept my eyes to the ground.
You or gals or whatever.
Gals.
You need to reduce your
Who says
profiles.
gals like that?
Mark Kenyon.
I just called him out. I love it.
Of course. But you need to reduce your profile. So, of course, kneeling or crawling, like we've been doing some of, is important. But one of the things that
can't be knock
people, I know. One of the things that people I've hunted with lately don't understand is that when you walk shoulder to shoulder, that's double the dude out there,
Yep.
And that's something that's super important. You have to make sure that you are showing the least amount of person to an animal as possible.
Somebody has to submit.
That's right.
Dadgummit.
The other day, you and I go back and forth with this, right? But the other day, the time I'm thinking about it, at least, I was behind you and just kind of pretty much just sticking my eyes right above your cap line so I could see what was going on.
Up on your tippy toes.
Yeah. No, you were down.
You're uphill.
I was uphill behind you. I think you were on your knees kind of scooting forward. I was kind of doing the duck walk behind you.
Was it the Donald Duck walk?
It was the Donald Duck walk. I had on the pants because it was cold.
I couldn't see what's going on back there.
But you do have to be careful about that. Speaking of, you couldn't see what was going on. We're both like arrows knocked, ready to go.
Yeah.
The guy behind, first of all, the guy in the front has to have like pretty good faith in the guy behind him that he's not going to just shillelagh him in the back with a broadhead.
Yeah.
But secondly, the guy behind, you really got to make sure that broadhead is like sticking out away from both of you.
Yeah.
So
stick it back towards your cameraman.
Yeah, that's right. He's got a lens in between you and him. Right. So that would be my thing, is to reduce your profile as much as possible when you are spot and stalking an animal.
That's a good one, man.
Thanks.
I like it. Here's another thing. You know what? Actually, I may be weird on this. I may have like an actual like higher aptitude to see everything that's going on. Not necessarily than you, but just like than the average person. Because of sports, maybe. But my dad said I've always been like this.
Yeah.
Like more than he was. And my dad played college football. But like I had to read 4 receivers at one time sometimes, at 2 for sure at pretty much every play. And so among other things. So like seeing a bunch of things, like I'll be shopping with my wife in Walmart and I see everything. She'll just stop in front of people or whatever, not see them coming,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a woman thing to do or not, but like it's definitely like I see people all the time running into each other and I'm like, I never have the issue of like, oh, sorry, I didn't see you there, you know? So anyway, I think one thing when you're stalking a lot of pigs or even like lots of deer, right, maybe, but like definitely in the pig situation because they're up, they're feeding, they're moving, being able to see if any pig is looking at you at any random time is key. Brian called me out on the blue shirt, and I'm going to call him out right now because I know he's listening. Brian moved his head when I had the blue shirt on.
That's what the pig saw.
I don't know if that's what the pig saw. I'm not going to say that. You say it, so we'll go with it.
Here's what I think. If you want, and I know this is your
the blue
point.
shirt got him looking at us.
I know, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
So, but
you like to wear off-colored things, stalking pigs. I think you just like the challenge.
I thought I was going to be wearing a jacket that day, and it got hot when I got out of the truck. So, but yeah, so. Really, what it boils down to is like if a pig is looking at you, you can't move. Like they're going to see the movement. You know what I mean? But if you stand still, like you can get away with a lot on pigs. I mean, you can be the big dark circle in the road and not get caught if you're not moving. So that's, I guess, a tip that I have is don't like zone in on the big boar that you're looking at. Make sure you see them all.
That translates to deer too as well, because. And elk. I can think more of an elk example than that, but like I can remember like that big elk in the Gila. There was a time when like I thought about maybe trying to move or whatever, but his cow was in my periphery, and I knew that she was also just staring me down. And I, like you could get away with something with a bull, but if his cow leaves, he's gone.
Yeah,
like he has no reason to be there.
Yep.
So don't do that.
That cow was so close, dude. She's like 15 yards, I think.
I can't even like imagine it because I was so zoned in on him, but I know she was like kind of right there, on my left.
I remember when he left, I looked over and she was still standing there looking right at us at 15 yards, dude. Like over an oak bush, just, gosh, it scared me.
Spook City.
Scared me.
What else spot and stalk? I think moving slow, which kind of goes along with what you're saying there, but it is a different thing because the approach is much different than like the subtle movements of like trying to get the shot off, kind of like what you were talking about, right? So, my Kansas deer this year, I spot and stalked that deer, and didn't spot him until we were like 45 yards away. But I kind of knew like there was a habitat pocket and I should be looking down in there. But if I had just been blowing through there because I didn't see, I'm doing air quotes right now, I didn't see any deer, then I would have just spooked them up and we'd be like, where'd that deer come from? One of those type of things. But because we were moving slow and I was using my gift of really good vision, I was able to pick this deer out of the shadows and saw a main beam down in the shadows, kind of below us, and was able to put a stalk on them. And if you move too fast, you're going to miss things like that. Don't get too caught up on the goal of, we're going to stalk up here to this corn pile and shoot the pigs that are there. If you're 80 yards out, the pigs haven't made it to the corn yet, and they're 60 yards from the corn, and then they're right there beside you, and you didn't really realize that because they're just bedded or whatever, So slow movement and just being methodical really is probably the thing, right? Like, it's again being aware of your surroundings, but kind of in a different sense.
Let's talk about this. How do you draw on a group of pigs when you get ready to draw them and you've been spotting and stalking them?
So that always gets us caught somewhat. But still, you and I were talking about this in the yard the other day. Like, I'm blessed, and you are too, that we are like pretty strong guys. Me, upper body heavy for sure in strength. But like, I can pretty much draw my bow without causing too much of a ruckus. I can draw my release or my string straight back and anchor and not move hardly at all. Some people
in 3/4 of a second shoot an Oklahoma buck.
That's right.
Right in the front.
And right exactly where you want to. There's no reason to stay drawn any longer than you have to be.
You drew your peep straight to your eye.
That's right. But it really is a thing where you don't want to jerk because that causes like a fast movement. But you also don't want to do this target shooter draw is what I would call it, where like you kind of go up and pull down and then settle. Like that's really not a hunter's draw, and a lot of people do it, and I understand some people have to do it because not everybody is blessed with upper body strength.
It's supposed to be really it's supposed to be better for your shoulders in like long term or something. Like it gives you less of a chance of injuring your shoulder.
My days of like heavy bench press also probably weren't good for my shoulders, so I don't think the bow is really a problem. So also weighted dips. I'm probably never doing weighted dips ever again.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
Yeah,
I was a pretty good dipper.
Yeah,
surprisingly, because my back was always weak.
Yeah, it's all about triceps. Man.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I didn't have like rager triceps, but they were strong.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, I think that is the key and that's something you can work on. You know, if your guy doesn't have a lot of upper body strength, you don't need to go do a bunch of curls and stuff like that. But like when you're in the yard, work on drawing your bow as smoothly as possible straight back. That helps with deer too. I mean, if you can point that arrow at the deer, draw straight back, unless he's got you pinned already, he's not going to see a lot of movement in his peripheral vision.
Right. Because you're pulling straight away from him. There's no like side to side movement or not much. Another way you can kind of strengthen yourself for that is to pick up any chainsaw that's not brand new and go to try to make it work.
Yeah. Or just have the starter go out on your 4-wheeler and then you have to use the pull cord every time.
So we busted pigs when we went to do the double draw the other night, and I pulled back pretty fast, and I was like, I think that was the wrong move. I think it's okay for me to do when I know a buck's not looking at me, and the buck's by himself or whatever.
You get it back. When you pull a bow.
I don't like it. Usually works. I mean, it pretty much always works out for me when I do that. But with hogs, like, there's always one of them that's got the side eye, whatever. And
you are good at picking this thing up too. That I haven't really noticed that much, but like a pig will have its head down eating, and that the pig's still looking at us.
Dude.
I didn't think about that too much, but the other day you're like, that one's still looking at us, even though it's eating. I was like, you're right, I see it now. Yeah,
it's got a different angle on its head or whatever, and it's like, and it's facing you usually, like it's ready to whip out of there. But yeah, so like, when we did that, I feel like, A, I was furthest from the cedar tree, and B, I was pulling back really fast, and I'm pretty sure, like, not that you wouldn't have got caught drawing, but I know for a fact they caught me. If they caught any of us, they caught me on that one. And so we ended up moving around the tree, getting a better backdrop for us. It did work out really well. But I noticed that when you drew the second time, I was just the camera guy, because I was like, well, there's a big one, let's just shoot it. It's a big sow or whatever.
I was trying to get that a pig shot with that broadhead. Yeah, was kind of the other thing too.
Yeah, to test it.
Yeah,
and so anyway, when you pulled back, I was like, dang, he freaking knocked that out of the park. Like, it was just the perfect, like you just explained, man. It was just straight through the arrow, like straight through the pig, and just like fairly slow, like so that you wouldn't get caught. And it worked out really well. Nobody saw you, and you shot that pig. And then I was like, as soon as that happened, I was like, okay, we got it on film. Pigs
we
are
had the camera on tripod too. It's worked real good. Yeah.
And so then as soon as you shot, I clipped on, and it worked out perfect, because I clip on, and about the time I look up and start drawing, you go, whee! And gave you a real loud, squeal or whatever. And I'm like anchoring at the point that happens, and I see one brown pig just turn and look, and I was like, done. 40, that's for sure. Like, you gotten some ranges on the way in,
Yeah.
And I was like, it's real close to 40. And I put my 40 on it, and it was Smoke City, dude.
Smoke.
Yeah.
Gosh, dude, I watched that arrow through the air so good too, because I think your bow probably went about 2 foot from my head, I would imagine. Yeah. And so, like, it was just straight down the pipe. And I watched it and said, oh, I remember right in the moment.
Yeah, I did too.
Smoke.
Dude, it was good. So, but in that case, like, the one thing that I do, like, I'm not sure if I'm going to change or not, but I may change to a hook release. And so one thing, K.C. and I have shot different releases the last couple of years. I've been shooting a dual caliper, and K.C.'s been shooting the hook. Is it called the Wilderness?
It's called a Moment.
Moment, that's right.
Hunter has a Wilderness. I don't know what that is, but...
so you've been shooting the Moment, which is a hook style release, and I was thinking, man, because, dude, it's hard to get a dual caliper to go quickly. You know what I mean? Like, I can do it when a deer's 100 yards out coming in, but when, like, for instance, when I shot the deer in Kansas, I had the same thing. Like, Dude, it took me, I feel like it took forever. It probably took like literally 0.8 of a second.
Yeah, but that anxiety is enough to mess you up.
Dude, I was like, and I was like trying to get it on there. And I finally clipped it on, It was the same thing I actually nailed it the first time, but I was like, and I did it really quick, but there's still like that anxiety of like, you're like trying to get your, y'all can't see it, but I'm like moving my hand around.
Oh, no. Well, think about it. That caliper's open maybe 1/8 of an inch.
Yeah.
And you got to fit that D-loop through that perfectly.
And then squeeze it at the right time before you move it off there.
Exactly.
So,
and I mean, that's just a part of my equation that doesn't even happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like just on there.
So I'm thinking about getting Jake to send me one of those Cobra hooks. The moment is what you said, right? So, because I might mess with that some this year if we get new bows, which we are. We just don't know when they're coming exactly.
Be here soon. One of them's here. It's not ours, though.
Yep.
We'll tell you about that later.
It's Daniel's. Or what's his name? Is it Daniel?
David?
David. It's David. David's. No, it's Michael. Michael, yep.
Yeah, Michael.
So that's another thing I was thinking about is though, is like, man, the release would have been a good thing there. But in that case, like I'm jerking back and I'm getting ready for something to stop. And, but I mean, overall, like, drawing on a bunch of pigs is tough.
What about from a tree?
Like, I was just about to say this.
Say you're in a cruiser saddle, which most of the time we are. If we're in a tree, all the time,
pretty much.
Right? I shot my deer from the ground. I had my cruiser on because that's
Did you really?
Yeah, I think so.
In South Dakota or Kansas?
No, in Kansas.
Oh,
I think I did. Because I mean, you never know, right? Like. That morning, you might have been going to get in the tree, and then but then you're stalking midday, and you still have it on. It's kind of nice.
I should have killed a big buck in Colorado this year.
Stop.
And with a cruiser saddle on from the ground. I got out of the tree, and Eric was supposed to rattle him to me, but he rattled him away from me.
Not intentionally, though.
No, not intentionally.
Anyways, where are we going with that? Oh, okay. So you're up in the tree, in your cruiser, leaning away from the tree. It's what happens in a saddle, right? Which is weird at first, but you get used to it, and it's actually real nice. What are some of your tips for drawing your bow in a tree?
Well, you got to, you want to make sure that like nothing is in your way when you originally sit down in that tree. But I think for me, the pigs are pretty active when they get in there on food. So like what you'll get a lot of times with deer is you may get a deer, like if it was at a feeder, especially like just a doe or whatever it's calling, like that sucker might just, or even bucks. Bucks are worse about it actually. Because like a big mature buck will come in on corn, whether it's a pile or a feeder, and just literally stand in the same spot for 4 minutes and then lift its head up, take a step, and then it stands there.
It's such a different environment too, because it's always dead silent.
Yeah.
Deer are so quiet.
Yeah.
And like, I learned this year hunting on my property because those does would come in and eat the corn, and I'm not shooting at them because it's not legal at that point in the year. How much sense does that make? But anyways, like the slightest sound when a deer has its head down eating is like freak out mode.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're strange about that.
Yeah. Which you can talk about that in regards to your Oklahoma buck. I mean, so the idea is this though, like when it's a hog, at least, that the hog is going to be moving around quite a bit. So really, as soon, like if it's a small group of hogs or just a hog, like say it's a boar, comes in, lone boar, I'm probably going to wait till he's facing away pretty good. They got big ears that blind them from the back pretty good.
They do.
And
their shoulders are wide.
Yeah.
Wider than their heads.
That's right.
Yeah.
So probably kind of get him facing away, and if he's moving quite a bit, I'll draw then, and then kind of let him get a little bit more broadside. I would say, honestly, that when shooting, especially a boar, I would shoot a quartering away probably, or if it's close enough. Dude, I've killed some frontal pigs this year.
On the ground, frontal's hard to beat.
Dude, I mean, you think about it. When you really think about it, if you feel confident in hitting within that area, there, like, you can't hardly miss.
No.
You know what I mean?
And especially in a hog because they're broader.
Yeah.
And they're squat, right? So it's literally, you're shooting at a volleyball.
Yeah.
I mean, their vitals aren't much bigger than that from the side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the good thing about a frontal too is that there's you got a bunch of arteries and veins in the neck.
That's right.
That you don't even have to hit the heart.
Yeah.
You know,
or the lungs or anything.
No.
Yeah, I know. It is deadly, dude.
Yeah.
And so, like, I feel like that's a pretty good option. Not to mention, like, there's a lot more soft stuff on the front of a boar than there is on the shoulder of a boar. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
them jowls are pretty floppy.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of more of a shooting thing. But I just think as far as, like, drawing back and getting drawn, probably when they're facing away. If you get a bunch of pigs in there, ideally, here's the thing is if you're setting up and you're setting a saddle or a stand or something like that, like, you need to have a backdrop if you can of some sort. Mm-hmm. So cedar tree or whatever it is. And if you're not skylined, you will get drawn, I think. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Unless you're just sunlit from the front or whatever. But like if you're back in a cedar tree or whatever, you got a pretty good solid backdrop behind you, you're probably not going to get seen. And here's the thing is if they see you and they blitz out, learning the squeal, some sort of loud squeal noise, man. I mean, that's worked. Mm-hmm. You've shot some pigs, so you know how to do that. And it's a second nature thing, and I pretty much just will hope that you do it, and you do it, and then I shoot them.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
That's my payment to you for doing it in your ear for those javelinas that one time. Now that you've heard it, I'm going to do it whenever it actually helps.
I apologize.
Yeah, but another thing I would think about for drawing that's important is to think about clearances, because it's actually kind of crazy how much clearance it takes to shoot a bow, because things are moving around and changing shape and size. Like, for instance, you don't want to have to be at full draw to have to move to make the shot, if that makes sense. Sometimes you have to do that, but ideally not. So having clearance out the front of your bow for, say, 20 to 25 inches of arrow to be able to swing around is pretty important. And if you don't have that, you need to keep that in mind for when you do take your shot. Also, like, just because you can hold your bow out right here doesn't mean you technically have room for your shot, because your string angle could run into stuff. And also, like, the way cams work are weird. Like, you might have room right there, but when you draw, your cams kind of come back a little bit, and then, like, your bow can be kind of wedged up in a spot.
I thought you were talking about cams like Cam Haynes, the way he works.
No, those are tiny.
We've been confused on if he's like a celebrity or if he actually does work at that water facility or whatever.
I don't
right?
know, man.
Because so the way he works is weird too, and he's a cam.
That's right. But like I said, he's small, so he fits into all those places. No problems.
Go in, dude. Every time.
Yeah, it's all right. He could outrun me for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But
long distance.
I don't know. I think that we've done podcasts on this draw stuff before. And it's pretty important. But one of the things that you cannot have too much of is experience, and that's what we kind of build our platform off of. To tell you the truth, guys, we don't claim to ever be experts at about near anything except for Mexican food, so don't mess with us. But outside of that, experience is everything when it comes to hunting. So it kind of goes back to that whole thing we were talking about earlier about don't waste a good day to go do something that's important, to go shed hunting, because it's not the greatest experience, you know. And if you could instead use that day later in the fall, or if you could go make some money this time of year in the spring, instead of walking around, you can use that to buy a tag and a new state and go have that experience or whatever. Like, make sure that you're putting yourself in these situations where you can learn this stuff, because, man, I'm not going to say that, like, I maliciously laugh at people or anything like that, but it is kind of comical from time to time when you see on a Facebook group some guy that you just know has been just an internet warrior for 4 years and has not gone out and put this stuff into practice, and then he's like got all these mods on his sticks and all this stuff, and it's like, man, have you ever thought about just going up the tree, you know, or whatever? You know, I'm not trying to throw shade here or anything, but y'all get what I'm saying. Like, go out and try this stuff, you know, and sooner or later you realize, like, hey, I don't have to fiddle with this that much. It works as is, or whatever it may be, you know. Like, you don't have to just go crazy about stuff. At the same time, there are some things that are really, really important to experience, and that is, like you were saying, drawing on a deer or a hog is a huge thing that you gotta figure out if you want to be overly successful at doing this.
Yeah, there are like integral parts to the harvest or fulfilling the experience of hunting and killing something that you should probably definitely focus on. So good thoughts there, man. We've been doing some farming and stuff. We don't have to get to any details of that. I'm pretty much an onion farmer right now. Whether it's on the, whether it's just greenizing some green onions in my windowsill or planting onions, and that's been the only thing that's come up in my garden. So
all re-greener. Any of the potatoes come up yet? Mm-mm. I've had a few potatoes stick their heads out.
Really?
I've got icicle radish, daikon radish, French breakfast radish.
French breakfast.
Just regular old radish, red.
I don't like
radish.
I don't like things being named breakfast that aren't breakfast.
Yeah. I'm probably going to eat them at breakfast a little bit, maybe.
Really?
I don't know. I never had those.
That's exactly right, because you don't eat radishes at breakfast.
You might.
Dadgummit.
Dude, people think that, but then have you ever had beans and rice at breakfast? It is good.
I haven't.
So not to put radish on the same level as beans and rice.
That's true.
I got kale, I got lettuce, I got taters, I got onions, and then I got all my indoor stuff done. I got I've got a bunch of tomatoes. I have like 48 tomato plants, which is about half of what I had last year. So it's good. I'm going to scale back. I got summer squash, winter squash. All that stuff is planted and about ready to go in the ground. I'm going to get those in the ground this weekend. I've got watermelons poking their heads through the dirt, and those are going to go in the ground about mid-April. Hoping to get some July watermelons. That would be nice.
That'd be cool.
Cantaloupe. What else? Oh, roselle.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's a thing, flour you make jelly out of, so pretty tasty.
Roselle from Sorrel.
That's right. That's it. Yeah. So
Dang, you got
I
a
think
good
that's
garden.
it. I actually bought today, I bought drip irrigation.
Cool.
Drip tape. So be buried in the ground in drip tape irrigation, trying to reduce weed pressure and disease pressure on my tomatoes and squash. So see if that helps.
Sweet.
Yep.
Sounds cooler than what I got going on. I'm just like I'm a wannabe gardener.
I'm just a bill out on Onion Hill. Sorry, man.
Well, one of these days maybe I'll have a intern that can do some stuff, and then I can just focus more on it.
We're going to have an Eric pretty soon.
I hope so.
Eric, you better get down here. That's all we have to say.
Oh, I got this girlfriend, y'all. I got this girlfriend.
Here's a good idea. Let's get a Yankee girlfriend before we move to Texas.
I think she's probably listening, dude.
Probably so.
That's all right.
Here's like,
she already hates you.
I ain't surprised. There's a lot of women that hate me for sure.
Well,
it's like a baby Jordan Peterson over here.
BJP.
That's it.
All right. Well, I think that's going to about wrap it up for us. Somehow we turned a don't have anything to say podcast into nearly an hour. So thank y'all for listening. Thanks for watching the videos. We're going to try to get a few more out this spring. We've got a really cool series revolving around fishing, if you like fishing. So be looking forward to that. It may be it's probably going to be several weeks still before that starts to air, but I'm really excited about it. And we do have some merch. If you guys have any need for shirts, T-shirts for the summer or whatever, we got a bunch of those. Got a few more these new hats in. We probably need to order some more different kinds and stuff. We're gonna get all in that. We got a bunch of different announcements to make at some point this summer, I think, and we're excited about some of the things we got coming up. We just can't talk about them yet. Also, we're going to do some get-togethers at some point this summer.
Are we?
In a few different cities. So
we haven't been talking about that much, but I'm glad to hear we're doing it.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's something we will.
I think I'm excited.
We'll have fun. KC's not so excited about it.
No, I am excited about it.
Every year, KC becomes more of a recluse.
I do. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
Whoever that guy was on Texas public land hunting Facebook, I feel sorry for you. We are going to do a meetup. Let's do it. But some guy, I got to say the comment, it was so funny. This guy was like, hey guys, we should do like a meetup or something or hang out. And then
it's like exchange names or something.
Yeah. Right? And this guy was like,
dude.
I'd rather shoot myself in the foot than meet 90% of you people. Oh, which I appreciated the clean but also harsh comment. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't, no cursing, nothing bad in there. Just like a good old, just honest comment. It's good. Which I think he was kind of joking a little bit. But there are some pretty horrendous people out there. Don't be one of those people.
That's right.
Have a good attitude and be nice to people. That's what I have to say.
That's right. And remember, this is your element.
Live in it.
Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay? Every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Art Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24th, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.